And
Yeah.
George, it is
Awesome.
all yours.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So again, today, the topic of conversation is knowing your numbers. What's coming in the market? What can we start to forecast? And again, I've said it, I've got Deep, I've got Ali, and Tony DeFalco is probably the numbers guru. He and I have talked for literally years about that. So T, if you're able to jump in, y'all feel free to jump in at any given time. I think this is extremely important for a lot of reasons. First off, y'all, I'm going to say this one more time. If you can do it, put your face on. My mission is, because I have 49 people in here, I want to see everybody's face. If I can get 49 live faces, that is like the end all be all for me. Chris, thank you very much. Steph, always good to see you. Will, what's up? Don in Colorado, glad you're here. It makes a big difference if you can do that, because we're going to feed off your energy today. Darian, right on. Appreciate it. Hi, Karen. If you can, again, all modesties put aside on these calls, there's zero judgment except for self-depreciation judgment. We're going to be covering what's going on in the market. Now, there's a couple different places you can gather this information, and there are different strategies about which to come up with it. The goal is to have an idea of what will happen in the very near future. And we're going to talk about some ways you can go about doing that with your local MLS, with the National Association of Realtors, with reports that are out there, and with some just general research that a lot of people are already doing. I used to track this religiously. I had a spreadsheet that would follow along with the indicators for me. Now think about this. We are across the country in probably one of the most aggressive selling markets we've ever seen. And that's indicated by the number of days on market before a property sells. Now, what we have in my particular market is less than 1 month. So that means if no other homes come on the market in 1 month, our entire inventory is gone. We are selling as many homes per month as we have active on the market. That's a very good, and that's my particular market. Your market is going to be a little bit different wherever your market might be, but it's important to know what that inventory level is, because that inventory level, first off, anytime you're having a conversation with a buyer and a seller or a seller, you need to have some knowledge. You need to know this. It's part of being professional. Now, some of us are inclined that we naturally gravitate towards this. Some of us have to make this on purpose. If you're not that natural gravitation, I want to challenge you to every 2 weeks, perhaps schedule this on your calendar so it's you don't have to think about it, where you take a look at some of the reports we're going to talk about. You can have some of them emailed to you. You have to create some. I have some saved searches, and that's going to be a huge benefit for you. I'll show you how that one works as well, because you can actually have this information emailed to you from most MLSs. I'm going to show you on mine, but then you can apply it to yours. And I would encourage that this may be an option for you too. We need to know what is going on in the market. Now think about this. In my market, we currently have 2,900 plus or minus 2,800 plus or minus homes that are active on the market based on what I look for in a home. What is my criteria? Doesn't matter. It can be yours. Mine is single family townhomes, condominiums, and duplexes. I'm not interested in farm or commercial or lots. So I know in a very specific area, I have 2,800 plus homes on the market. I know last month I had 2,600. The month before I had 2,800. The month before I had 3,100. So that shows me that the market kind of went down to the bottom, and now it seems like it's starting to come up a bit. Well, I'm going to look for some more trend on there. I'm going to go to the national overview. I'm going to look wherever I can. But I hope you all gather the idea that having an idea of what's happening in the market is going to allow you to serve your clients better, but also forecast what your business is going to look like. Think about this. Think about right now, in most of the markets, if you have a buyer, the number one mission is to get the buyer to win the contract, because there's probably 5 to 20 people behind them. If the market starts to stabilize a little bit, you may find, while everybody thinks that you have to win it, that you may actually be, once again, the only offer on there if you're fast and you're moving quickly. Now, I know that because we had a listing that we put on the market and we had one offer. Wow, one offer over a weekend. It was in the area I live in, which is, or the community where we do a lot of our work, which is a very nice community, great schools, extremely desirable. This was a pool home, 2,800 square feet, priced properly. One offer over an entire weekend, as opposed to 20 3 weeks ago for the almost exact same home. Now, think about it from the buyer's perspective. I'm watching this market shift in my local market. What's happening in yours? Is the buyer I'm representing who's looking for a home, do I want them to say, we just have to win? Or do I want them to say, we're going to win? And now an escalation clause actually becomes a very powerful tool in my personal market. And here's why. I can make a full price offer and escalate it up to the 10,000 they wanted to go, or the 20 or 30 or 40,000 over they wanted to go. But now it requires the proof of the other offer. Are you starting to see how a change in the market may change our strategies for how we go into negotiating, for what we do in our negotiating process? So there's a lot more to unpack regarding how these strategies apply and different things we can put into place. I want to cover a couple of different places where you can gather information about your current market. And the first one is the National Association of Realtors. The website is, if anybody wants to type it up, it's nar.realtor. I'm going to share the post with, or share the page with you so you can see it. This may be a place you want to go. Now, I personally think Mr. Yun is absolutely brilliant. This is in the National Association of Realtors, and it's under research and statistics. I like him. This is, by the way, he is under the data, and this guy talking about May existing and pending home sales, he's going to provide you with real great national market information. It's not specific to your area, but it's going to give you an overview of what's happening in the entire country. And when you click on this, the pending home sale snapshot is one that's interesting to me as well. I will click on that and let's see if we can show this. It shows that our month over month is down, number of pendings. So our pendings have actually dropped, but even more importantly, I'm in South. So for me, it's down 3%. The West is down 3.8%. Midwest is up. Now, is this going to be exactly what you need? Absolutely not. It's way too generalized, but it gives you an idea of the overall health. I have a belief, and I'll actually call on Ali if he's able to hop on. I believe that this is an indicator of economic well-being in the country, and I look at this to kind of indicate that because it is there are major drivers in the national overall health of the market. Ali, if you're listening, do you concur with that? Is the national market an indicator of what do you think it is, sir?
Good morning. I think you're definitely right in that. I think one of the things to also remember is that with the slowdown of last year, especially from April till about August, September, we were having a lot to catch up. And that's why you see all that buying frenzy throughout this year. So I think now that that buying frenzy is kind of slowed down, we're getting back to, quote unquote, a little bit more of a normal market where you don't get 20 offers on a property over a weekend. You do just get one or two, which is still very good. I mean, you know, if you were to tell a seller, hey, I can get you an offer on the first weekend we're live on the market, they would be ecstatic about that.
I agree 100%. And that's going to be a different conversation. You just brought that up. We go into this at this point and say, we feel very comfortably that your home will be under contract or pretty close to the sale price. We hope to go more, but we know we're going to push the appraisal just a little bit, go a little bit higher. And I believe we could be under contract on your home within 7 to 10 days. I used to be able to say, you give me this weekend and we're good. That's the knowledge base that we need to have in our conversations with our clients, and we have to be the absolute best. Now, Ali, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. I'm going to go a little more granular. I'm going to talk about my particular market, and not that I'm interested in my market, but I'm interested that every market has some tools very similar to this. In my market, we have something called the Market Pulse. And what I look for in this is I look for trends, and it comes out around the 15th of each month. And this is what I would like to ask everybody here to be a student of. the trends, not necessarily what we're looking at, but I want you to see that we have some trends. Now, this is the total number of inventory we have, and it's a 2-year cycle. That's just what we offer in our market. You have one that's similar in your MLS or your regional board, almost everywhere in the country. But this is the trend that I'm looking for. So the average or the number of homes that are active on the market. Last year we had 6,500. This year we're at 3,000. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. That explains what happened in the market, but I can actually watch it. It didn't go crazy until February, March, April, and May. And it went down to the all-time low in April, right here, 2,600 homes on the market. And then it went up in May, went up again in June. And I can tell you without reservation, when the July report comes out, it will be up even higher. I'm projecting somewhere around 3,300, which means it is coming back fairly quickly to what would be, my hope would be a more balanced market. Because I know this, because I can support this, I would have a conversation with my clients that our low of inventory was 2,600 active homes on the market. And we've already come up really around, God, we've had about a 20% increase. We're up to 3,000 homes on the market last report, or what I think is going to be 3,300 homes on the market. This tells me that the market is correcting a little. It's slowing a little. It doesn't mean you're going to lose any more value. It just means that the illusion of having, $30,000 or $40,000 over asking price on every single home probably isn't going to be as possible. Yet we still have appraised values increased from when that happened. So for my sellers, great. For my buyers, knowing this, don't go into every home thinking we have to win. Now, I do something else, and this is something everybody here can do. And I really, really want to encourage you to do this. I have in my MLS, I have it set up, and I've actually saved this one so that it's ready for you. This is my MLS, and I go with actives. Okay, I picked specific counties around my community. So I went very geographic. I said, I want to have the same data, the same information all the time. So I picked the counties that are around mine. And as I said before, it's duplex, condo, single family home, and townhomes. This is the results. I now have 3,900 homes that are active. Okay, this is awesome because it's not over 5,000. I can do it. I would want to actually bring this, I would have to minimize this just a little bit because it's too hard to do, but I want to have this report saved. So I save it, and I actually have it saved as Orange, Osceola, Seminole, Lake County, active homes. And then I can save this report for me. Just type that in for right now. And at any time I want to, I can click on my MLS searches that I have saved already. You can do this in yours and save it. If you have a smaller number of inventory, why would you not? This is my report right here. If you had a smaller number of inventory, why wouldn't you email it to yourself every week on Saturday morning so you can see your active numbers? What you're looking for more than anything, at least what I'm looking for, it's static information. I want to know that there's 3,900 homes on the market in where I geographically looked for. By the way, 3,900 single family homes actively on the market. We just looked at this one and it said 3,000, and this is for this same MLS board. Would that be amazing? I'll know next week when they pull out this full report. If it's up to 3,900, we've had a massive correction. Okay, my MLS is showing me single family or active on the market, 3,900 homes in these counties. My board, which is my board report, showed in June there was only 3,098 homes. If that's factual, imagine going from 3,000 homes to 3,900, a 33% increase in the active homes on the market. What does that do to our market? How does that change it? It actually brings us almost back to where we were in January before the craziness really started. I challenge you to know these numbers because it's going to give you such power in your conversations with your clients. It's going to give you confidence in what you're saying, and it's part of your presentation to both buyer and both seller. Mr. DeFalco, are you on the call at all, sir? Not sure if Tony's on here. He is a numbers savant, studies this stuff, knows it cold. He may not be. That's cool. Deep, Any thoughts from you, sir? Any input on this that you have as far as knowing the numbers and what we just looked at?
Good morning, everybody. George, going back to what you said and what Ali said was the same, right? The trend's changing. I saw it 3 months ago. I watch the market the same way you watch it. I want to see what I'm dealing with. How am I educating my buyer or the seller? Biggest thing, especially with the sellers, because everybody thinks their shit smells better than everybody else's. So now the prices need to be higher. But my job is to make them feel reality. This is the reality. And if you really compare the last 3 months, numbers are dropping. You know, sales are dropping, listings going to start increasing. And don't forget, you know, I think sometimes we're not thinking far enough that this part of the year is always a little slower too. Like everybody's going back to school the last month, and this week Orange County starts school. So people are away from that mindset of buying anything right this minute. But at the same time, the trend is changing. It's changing. It's going to be for the better in the long run. I think the correction needs to be coming. We're not seeing those multiple offers anymore. I have a bunch of listings. I'm getting what you just mentioned, 1 or 2 offers, and I'm happy with it, because as long as you've educated your buyer or the seller, this is the market we are in. You got to be updated every month. Means you really need to know your pulse of this market. This report's amazing. This is something you can share with your buyer or the seller. Kind of gives them a heads up. You know, hey, this is what's happening. We want you to be prepared, because a lot of people still think that they can pay 40,000 above and get a deal. Why do that when you don't need to?
Agreed, 1000%. Your knowledge of this will, in fact, save your clients money, make your clients money, and it's going to make you a professional. Also, for the conversation, for everybody here, you might want to consider that this is a wonderful elevator speech. What's going on with the market? Well, we had 2,800 homes on the market just last month, and we're up to 3,300 or 3,900 homes. The market is changing pretty quickly. You have to know this. I gotta say this, and I'm so incredibly ecstatic to see it. We're talking about knowing our numbers, knowing our market, and there's 95 of us on here. We haven't had 95 people on a call in quite a while. It's the middle of the summer. I get that. I totally understand people on vacation. Good for every one of you for being here. If there's one little nugget you take away from this, it's worth it. If it's going to help you be more knowledgeable about your business, I'm excited. I'm proud of every one of you. Good for you making the investment in your knowledge. You have to find in your local market where your numbers are reported. And if they're not, I want you to create an MLS spreadsheet or an MLS search for you that talks about active homes on the market. You may also want to search how many homes are pending and keep it on a spreadsheet and track it on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis. Here's why. You're going to see trends that will be visible to you before the general economy. I'm going to give you an example. This wasn't number tracking, but we could see it and something changed. I could see it in the numbers. I could see it in the actions of what was occurring. We're starting to have a similar, but it's not going to be like it was in 2005. In 2005, I listed a home, excuse me, 2,062 square feet. I controlled 90% of the market at that point. The homes that were sold in there, I sold 90% of them. 2,062 square feet, backed up to conservation, great house, phenomenal. $339,900 was the asking price. We sold it in 3 days, full price offer. This was in October. It was like the first, it sold on October 4th, ironically. We got under contract, it was my birthday. Put another one on the market on the 28th of October. It took 3 months to sell it. It was exactly the same home, both backed up to conservation. This one actually had wood floors. There was no difference in it. We sold it for about $325,000 after 3 months. That was the beginning of the change of this market. We watched the inventory, which went down, 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 boom, started shooting up. Now, we're not going to experience that in this market because we don't have predatory lending. But to have an idea of how the market shifts gives you the power to be fully in charge and fully the expert. So again, to recap on this for your market, please, if you don't have the resources somewhere available for you, RPR, great indicator as well. I didn't bring that up. I don't want to do it a disservice. But if you don't know what's going on in your market, then I'm going to challenge you to create your own searches that tell you how many are active, perhaps how many are pending, and have it be static on a specific day. Just like our clients, as long as your market doesn't, mine has like 20,000 homes in it. But if you have a smaller MLS, there's almost an assurance that you can have that number emailed to you. You can have it on Saturday mornings, have that report that here's all the active homes in your particular area sent to you. And you just, boom, cool. 1,400 homes that, or let's say it's 560 homes. If you specialize in a particular area, if you're really an expert in one small geographic area, remember I put 4 counties in mind. But let's say there's a community that this is your bread and butter. This is what you really own. Do you know how many homes are on the market now and how many homes were on the market this time last year in that community? Do you know how many homes are going pending and how long that community has for when the properties sell? If you're going to be an expert of an area, you must be an expert of that particular market, of that particular, that knowledge base. Community I used to focus on was called Cypress Springs, which shouldn't mean anything to anybody. But the bottom line is it was 1,500 homes, and I studied the statistics in there, and then I compared it against the zip code for the entire community. And I also wanted to know, how does that stack up against the county? Now, of course, they were single family homes, so I went single family to single family. But do you see how having that knowledge when I'm talking about it helps me? When I had buyers, I could say this community tends to sell quicker. It's more in desire, it's more demand. It gets a higher price per square foot than anything else in 32835, which was a zip code. It's second only to 32828, which was the opposing competitive zip code, but we pay less in millage. There's just a lot of information that's important for you to have. And I want to challenge you to be the absolute expert. So for all of us, for everyone on this call, the focus has to be, how are you going to get that information? Because by knowing that, you're going to change your strategy. So let's switch this over to a little bit of a paradigm shift on this. If we're going into a softening market where you can't get 20 and 30% be over what's fair and valuable, where homes don't sell in 3 days guaranteed. A normal market, for some of us out there, I'm not going to call on anybody who's been in this market long enough to know that difference, Karen Leday. I won't say that. It's just be inappropriate. You're right in front of me, honey. I got to do it. But Karen and I have actually seen these markets. A lot of you have as well. A normal market is a 6-month supply. A normal market means I need to know how to get price reductions when I'm handling listings. A normal market is I need to know how to negotiate very well and also be prepared that there is no other offers on there. That happens in a normal market. In a normal market where homes don't sell instantly, Opendoor, OfferPad, Zillow, they buy these homes, but they buy them for much less. Getting the maximum amount means your value goes through the roof because they're not value-based. All of these, we had for salebyowner.com, we had assist to sell. They all went away when the market changed. A healthy market, one where we don't have homes selling in 3 to 5 days, is actually a huge benefit to us as real estate agents because our expertise becomes more valuable to them, to our clients, in all aspects, buying and selling. So I encourage this to happen. I encourage this market to change. I want it to get back to a more stable market. I'm perfectly okay strengthening my skills, and I know everybody here would be as well. And there will be less playing out there for those inexperienced, less, or for those unconcerned, not inexperienced, unconcerned about the well-being of their clients. Think of the Zillow, Opendoor, OfferPads. They will slow down in their capturing of the market. You will have to be even better at what you do. And half of that battle is what we're talking about now. All right. How does this go to a changing market? Well, I think it's important that you have these conversations. I think that putting your brand out there, we talk a lot about this. How do we make sure that you're known? If you know your numbers, and you should, boy, really, you should. If you know your numbers, that's a really fun conversation in a social media environment. If it's a fun conversation because I promise you they're going to look you up. I promise you, your clients will, your friends will, before they work with you. They probably already know. But why wouldn't you start talking about what the numbers indicate? Please don't make the mistake of forecasting as if you know everything. But if you can honestly say, and this is a truthful statement, we had 2,600 homes actively on the market in the 4 counties around my neighbor, or 4 counties of which I live in, and we're up to 3,900 in just 2 months. Buyers and sellers, be aware. There is a change in the market. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Anybody that looks that up, just by the people that I can see a show of hands, if you read that on social media and I gave you numbers and statistics, and I'm asking for your input, I could see like 25 faces at this point. Would that indicate to you, holy cow, he actually knows what he's doing? Just give me a show of hands if that makes sense. By me saying that, if we had 2,800 homes on the market and we're up to 3,900 in just 2 months, that's almost a 33% increase in our active inventory. Buyers and sellers, beware. That is a professional statement. And that's why knowing your numbers is important, because it will elevate your status 2 ways. First off, in your mind. For some of you out there, you're like, am I really that good? Yeah, you're that good. Your numbers will help support that. It's going to give you the topics of conversation when you're speaking professionally, and you're going to come from strength. And that is invaluable. I can't encourage that enough. All right. I'm on purpose and on point with this. We covered it. You can use RPR, phenomenal platform. RPR, phenomenal platform for data gathering, data information. It is unbelievable. I don't use it as much as I should. I'm still old school. That's not right or wrong. But if you have the ability to use RPR, I personally think that is Will, I know you're pretty confident and comfortable in this. Would you mind jumping in? Can you kind of testimony RPR and how that value statement, or how that works as far as a value for you?
I mean, I just use it as a supplementary tool for doing CMAs and things like that. It's I mean, the depth that it can dive into is pretty incredible. But it's definitely worth watching a tutorial on it, because it's something that's provided to us for our MLS. But yeah, being able to see who's owned it, some of the transactions, kind of gives you, that's one of the things I do just when I'm looking at properties, is to kind of look, there's so much data in there. You can kind of look at the history of a property, what it's been through, how it sold last time, and different things, and kind of gives you a complexion of the property and a little bit of maybe the story there. Helps you ask good questions down the road. And as far as the valuation tool, that's pretty exciting too. I know we've got a bazillion valuation tools out there, but that one's a pretty, you can really dive down deep and get good comps and things like that. So I enjoy using it. And again, I don't use it as much as I should, to the degree that I could, because it's definitely, it takes some time to learn it well.
I agree wholeheartedly, but you can also get market reports that are absolutely crazy on point. What I mean by that is, if you wanted to, you could pull up, give me a report of what's going on in this particular market, and it'll show you the trends, positive and negative, more inventory, less inventory. So why wouldn't you do a community specific, and then a zip code, and then a county? Basically build that out for yourself. It's another great resource. So for everybody on the call, please figure out a way to have it automatically communicated to you. Put it on your calendar so that this is something that happens. This is your research. This is your professionalism. And quite honestly, this is the highest level of service for our clients. If it's not something you look at regularly, and since it should be, anything that should be regular should be systematized. Anything you do more than twice, there should be a system for it, or you're winging it. I covered this before, and that's called being entrepreneurial. Now, entrepreneurial says that's great, but one of the things that is involved in entrepreneurial has high risk. Okay, I don't want you to risk your knowledge base. It's not something we fly by night, shoot from the hip on. I need you to be purposeful. Purposeful is, I study this on a weekly basis. I know my numbers. I have it on my calendar that this is when I do it, or it gets emailed to me every Saturday morning. And at some point over Saturday, I'm going to watch it. Worst case, I'll see it next week. Every one of us can automate this, set up a system for this, so that it happens very regularly and is not fly by night. Because the one time somebody says, so what's going on with the market? You're like, crap, I haven't looked at that in about 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know. Okay, that's not the answer. Like, oh my God, I just checked this. I study this all the time, and whatever the answer would be at that point. So remember this, and please take this forward for all of us, because we're all professionals. I don't want you to be entrepreneurial in every circumstance. Entrepreneurial is a great start. That's where you say, I'm going to do this. You're going to be entrepreneurial. I'm going to do the best database management I've ever done in my life. I'm going to be amazing. That's entrepreneurial. And once you make that commitment, start working towards purposeful. If it's something that happens in your business, it's going to happen at least twice. It must be systematized. It will allow you to be amazing at whatever you're doing. And this is an important thing for you to be amazing at. All right.
George, can I jump in?
Please do, Deep. I wanted to thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. A couple of things with George hit on. If you're targeting in a particular neighborhood, create a drip setup for you: active, pending, sold, expired. You'll see how quickly things are changing. I do that for all the neighborhoods that I focus on or I've sold in, and I've seen the last year and a month and a half trend. It's coming back on the market. It's coming back on the market. Price reduction. I see more of that than active and sold. That says a big indicator of the change of the market. Second, guys, there are a bunch of, we have 18,000 agents in Central Florida area. And not everybody has the privilege to come on a mastermind like this. There are a bunch of, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to do it, a-holes, who have a listing, and that's all they think this is all about. List the property, and you're going to get the best and the highest offer. Educate them, scoop to their level. You don't have to be really rude about it, but at least let them know what's going on. I have a scenario right now. I'm telling the listing agent, hey, have you seen the comps? Have you seen what's sold? They have zero indication what the market is shifting. They only think, oh, the market's so hot, because that's the message they relate to this seller. From them to go back and say, oh, guys, I think we messed up, or I gave you the wrong amount, and we are off $40,000. Now it really makes him look like a a-hole again, and a very unprofessional agent, if you really put it that way, because he did not do the homework that he was supposed to do. I don't care if it was 3 weeks ago, a month ago, but today's market. I have 2 listing appointments today. I've been talking to these sellers for a week, and I've been updating them. I said the trend's changing, 25%, 30%, more listings coming on the market. So I'm mentally preparing them. Hey, this is where we are. It's only going to get more. So the more you do that, it's much easier to go present this to the seller. Say, hey, we tried, did not work. Just leaving it on the market, it is just going to be back to the same shit we went through before. Sorry, George.
No. I appreciate that. And you bring up something that I think is valuable for everybody on the call. I want you guys to hear this clearly. Please don't. This is my opinion. You can formulate your own, but I'm going to give you my opinion. Please don't go in and tell them what their home will sell for, unless you're planning on buying it. I strongly discourage that. I like to go in and tell them, and I encourage you to do the same thing, to tell them what an appraiser will use the 3 homes they're going to choose for your home. Because that is something you can't, it's not a variable. You can have almost a high level of surety that you can pick at least 1, probably 2, and almost assuredly 3 of the homes they're going to have to choose. They can't skip over these homes and go to the next community where they're higher priced. They're going to have to stay here, look at what an appraiser will do. And this is just 101. Now, this home that's pending, that went under contract 2 or 3 weeks ago and is closing in a week for a listing appointment, or if I'm working with a buyer, if it went under contract in 2 days, I'm pretty sure it was for full price. So I can reasonably assume that it's going to be a viable and the most viable comparable an appraiser will use. So I'm going to include that when I'm talking. I said, we're going to assume that's full price, and this is probably the best home an appraiser is going to use, and it's the most recent, so they're going to have to do it. There's another one that sold for $20,000 less, another one that sold for $10,000 less. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I believe that your home, or Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I believe that this home's value is going to be appraised at somewhere around the asking price. You do the math on that. That you can communicate. If the appraisal value of the property is showing $30,000 less than the seller wants to list the home at in this particular market, my advice to you is make sure they know what it will appraise for, but please don't walk away from the listing. Be transparent, be honest, be integrity based. My honest opinion is that this is our appraised value. We're going to have a challenge if we can get somebody to pay more based on what you want. I'm not trying to give a listing class at this point, but I want to cover that knowing your market is part of the knowledge we've got to have. So anyway, I went off on a rant. I got the squirrel. Thank you, Deep. You just sent me down a thing. Listen, I haven't said this in a whole long time. I'm going to get this out right now because I got a good audience of 92 of you. I usually wait for the end, but I'm going to say it right now. Go out today and find somebody who needs to hear from you that they are important, that they matter to you, that that you love them and you care for them and you respect them, because you never know when somebody needs to hear that. And I want to challenge every single person to do that today. Find somebody that needs to hear this. Somebody that needs to know you love them. I'm having lunch with Jay Heckendorn today, and I'm gonna give him a big hug and tell him I love him to death because he's a great friend of mine. He's one of our partners, one of all of our partners. But find somebody today that needs to hear that. You'd be amazed at how great it makes them feel, and even more importantly, or equally importantly, how great it makes you feel as well. I am, as I said, I love that y'all are here because this is such an important thing. And it's so important that we get it to your head and that you get this power because you deserve it and you have it. It's at your fingertips. Just go find it. Any thoughts, any feedback on this? And thank you, Star. Anybody have anything they want to add before we wrap it up? It's good. Early today. It's cool. Yay.
One thing, George, I wanted to just
Yes, ma'am.
suggest is that, all those buyers who gave up in February, March, April, reach back out to them now. Show them that there are trends happening now. It's not as good as it was last year yet, but the trends are going in that direction and that they can start looking again.
Do y'all understand the dynamic of how important it is for you to offer suggestions? Karen, that is the most incredibly powerful statement of the entire mastermind. You're absolutely right. There's so many people out there that, it's not going to work. Hey, it's going to work again. Let's get back into taking a look. I love that, Karen. Thank you so much for sharing that.
George, for the record, Karen's my mentor. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So,
well, that's a good mentor. She's a certified, one of the like a high-level certified real estate course instructor. She's amazing, and a very, very good friend of mine as well, as somebody I love greatly. She's awesome. Mr. Houston, you got your hands up. What's going on, sir?
George, hello.
Hey, buddy.
I have a question, and it's based off a statement from a client of mine, a buyer that I've been working with out of New York, New Jersey, owns multiple properties up in that area, affluent neighborhoods. And he explained something to me that he had heard from neighbors of his who were selling their homes, multi-million-dollar properties, looking to move to South Florida, and they were in a frenzy. This was beginning of summer, but the general idea was if they didn't get down by July, they could really take a step back and pick and choose exactly what they wanted, because they were no longer going to save all of that money in taxes for this year. I was just curious if you could go further on that, if you had any opinion on that. That was sort of a new thing for me. I thought, that completely makes sense, but just wonder if you guys had any interactions with people from that area or with that mindset.
I'm not sure I understand I don't think I have a full understanding of what's happening. I'm not sure why there would be a difference in the middle of the year of tax savings.
Well, if basically the idea was if they got down here, were able to get set up as residents for full 6 months, and we're able to go back and not pay those New Jersey taxes, he literally said it was about a $350,000 savings for their bracket. So if they spent $100,000 over market value, it didn't matter. They were still ahead.
So I'm assuming, without speaking to him, I'm going to make an assumption. What he's doing is he's saying my full-on residency is going to be more than 50% of the time is in Florida. I have a residence down there. That's my primary residency. My secondary home would be transferred up north. So he may have First off, I mean, why would you? Anybody lives in New York, New Jersey, God bless you, but I ain't paying that kind of tax. I can't handle tax. I don't like the government getting a nickel of my money if I can help it. I'd rather give it to the children or to the local bartender. Oh shit, was that out loud? I didn't mean that to come out loud. But you get what I'm saying. I'm assuming, Scott, that's probably the situation, and it comes down to where his what state he was calling his primary residence. But then it goes to his employer as well, because the tax will pay. Your employer taxes you where the employer's paying you, I believe, but I'm not a CPA. I'm going to have to trust his opinion on that, though, that there is a difference in here. And that's a shame, because that's, ouch, that hurts. That's a lot of money. Jess, you got something you want to have, Ms. Vasquez?
Yeah, kind of to Scott's point too, because I like a lot of the buyers this year were coming from New York, New Jersey, and I was seeing a similar trend where there were certain times they had to come in, but mine were for school. I guess they had to be here by a certain date to lock in the public schools.
Yep.
And now that that is obviously over, school started today for a lot of people. That's where I expected things to slow down. And after May is where I really started to see a slowdown too. And I think some of that had to do with they had to be in by a certain time to lock in a school zone.
That's actually 100% correct. And that's why we have such a buyer's or such a frenzy season in summer. We talked about the market. It mirrors exactly what you said. If you're up north, when I was living in Illinois, our school didn't start till Labor Day. So we really had, there's a market, seems to be a little bit longer there until August is when, the first couple weeks of August, the pendings stop. They slow down, they don't stop. The pendings slow down because they had to make that buy purchase to get in the school districts at the right time. I know that's true in Connecticut, it's true, and I only know those two states because I've lived there. With the better school districts, that becomes very relevant. That's part of the geography of that particular market. I agree with you. We see this trend, and this is a nationwide trend, that April, May, June, and July are the busiest months for pendings. September is the slowest month for closing because August is the slowest month for contracts. We're in it right now because they had to have that contract, that flurry, and then they're like, oh, we're good. And then school starts, and like, okay, so October, November pick up, and December gets crazy. January is very slow. So we have great pendings in October and November and almost no pendings in December, but a lot of closings in December to finish out the year. And then because there's no pendings in December, we have a very slow January. These are national trends. You can see these on any national reporting system. Again, I use my local one, but this right here, it indicates these trends. There's a great report in here. There we go. This is the new listings report. You see that these dips are in December. You can catch every one of them. But there's also another report in here which will show the closings and how those cycles work too. For all of us planning, please be aware that January, if you're not doing something about it right now, is a challenging month for most real estate agents. We are in August, and I truly believe that I think it is 48 days, we are into the fourth quarter, which to me is the first quarter of 2022. That's absolutely right. Come October 1st, it's 2022. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page. Friend of mine, I was having, it was Milton James. God, I love him. Milton and I, we go to the gym every morning. We work out there together. Fear requires massive action. Most people, when they're faced with something that's fearful for them, will take massive action to avoid the pain associated with it. And with massive action comes results. January is going to suck. Get working right now. Okay, did that work? Did everybody freak out? Everybody afraid? Did I scare y'all? No? All right. I'm not wearing any makeup. That should do it right there. Seriously, January is predicated on what you do in October. What you do in October is going to show up in January. We are in 2000. We are right now. If you're not business planning, holy cow. I need you guys to have a business idea. What is your goals? We talk about this all the time. What are your goals? Are they in front of you? Do you see them? Do you know what you're going to do? And what is the actions you have to take to get there? I'm not going to lecture you today. I promise. I won't do it. But I want you guys to remember it's coming, and knowing your numbers, which is where we started with this. Knowing your numbers will allow you to be even more professional and better than you probably currently are. And everybody here, myself included, can do better at this. And I just want it to be purposeful for you, where you know them on a regular basis and it's something you look at. Two things, even for people that don't like numbers, you'll enjoy the knowledge of the trend. You'll enjoy the forecast that you're able to see. You'll enjoy greatly being ahead of everybody else in what you know is actually happening. You can see it in front of you, but it has to be purposeful. This call is entrepreneurial. You're on this call because you said, I want to know more about this. Now I'm going to challenge you to be purposeful so you continue to. All right. It's 9:19. Y'all know this, at 9:30 I go to work. That means I got to go in about 10 minutes. We're going to turn it over to anything that anybody wants to talk about before we go to the after party. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you investing in yourself, for making yourself better and really elevating your professional level, because that shows your character and that's awesome. So floor is open for anybody that has anything to add. Nobody. Y'all know that by talking, by sharing, by communicating something, you actually get more out of these calls. You get more out of everything by engagement. And I challenge you to jump in when you want to.
All right, George, I got a question for you.
George, I got
Just general knowledge.
All right, we'll go 1 and 2. Let's start off with Will. Why don't you go first, and then I'm sure Jonathan has something to add too.
All right, just a couple of things through this season. You're putting in offers, and there are multiple offers, and there are times where you feel like the seller's agent didn't even show your offer. I've talked to agents in other states. They actually have a place in the contract where the seller's agent has to sign it and return it to you, or show you that the seller actually got to see your offer.
Yeah.
But I don't notice anything here in Florida. I think there's a place on the contract where you do that, but I don't get that a lot from Florida agents, a response that, hey, my seller actually saw your offer and they decided to pass on it. What?
Rob has an answer, I think, specific to this, and he's our
Okay.
guy.
Yeah, you got my attention. So I just went down this road. I actually had to talk to our broker, our brokers, our designated brokers, the other agents' brokers. It is a violation of contract law for them not to do that. It actually pauses the timeline on the contract. They are also in a NAR violation. NAR changed the articles about 2 years ago, where broker to broker can ask for proof of that. You can also ask for, not only if they send a response back that says they've denied it, most of our digital signatures also have an authenticity that will prove who actually did the signature and sent it back to you. So it's unfortunate that too many agents do not understand the laws and the rules. Talk to your broker, or tell them you need to talk to their broker, or have our broker talk to their broker.
That is, the NAR laws are nationwide. This is not specific to one particular state. It's specific to all states and realtors as a profession. If you are a realtor, you are obligated to these ethics, and these ethics are contractual. Rob, thank you very much. I knew you'd have, as soon as I saw your mic go off, I'm like, there's the answer. Will, are we good? Did that cover it for you?
Yeah, perfect.
Right on, cool. Jonathan Master, I'm pretty sure you had something to say. Style, I'll get to you in just a second, my friend.
Hey, Jonathan, George, one more thing.
Go ahead, Rob.
When you send your contract over, every single my email says, my buyers will be looking for a formal response to inspection. If you're in Florida, you can tell them that you want a signature and an initial on the bottom of page 11, where they've denied it, accepted, or counteroffered it, or a full signature on the contract. Or if they want to send it back, do not do texts, do not do the rest of them. Tell them to fill out the counteroffer form, because it's the only thing that will hold up later on.
Yep. Know your contract.
Now I'm done.
Know your contracts. If you haven't read your contracts, every single line with a highlighter, and then said, I've got questions, let's get these answered, you have to. You have to know every word. Like, what does force majeure mean in your particular area? It's different in my state than it would be up in New York, because we like hurricanes down here. So you need to know every single word of your particular contract. Style, jump in, my friend. How are you? Maybe not. Okay, cool. And she's like, nope, my bad, I'm out. All right, open for anybody else, or we will turn it over to the after party. Tiff, why
Oh,
don't we
I'm
do this
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was muted and I didn't realize it. Can you hear me now?
very clearly? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just a quick comment on today's call about the shifting of the market.
Mhm.
Very valuable. In fact, as you were speaking about that, I was texting two of my potential buyers about that. And super important, as you said, to show them you have a little bit of knowledge on what's going on, not go to them and say, buy this, buy that, but throw a little nugget here and there about what's going on. Super valuable. Thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and Style, thank you for putting it. Y'all, I mean, that's absolutely huge. We're literally on a call and she's like, hey, the market's changing a little bit. I love that you put it to use right now. And what Karen said was, because that's the piggyback right there. What Karen said, if you have everybody in your KV core and you can sort by buyers, why wouldn't you put out a group, a mass text, and it's parentheses, name, first underscore name, close parentheses. You can find it. It's so that it puts their name in there, and it would read something like this. Hey, Deep, just wanted to let you know we're seeing the inventory levels go up like 33%. We had an inventory level of 28 active or 2,600 active homes in June. We are up to 3,900 active homes right now. The market is starting to change a little bit, and it's starting to be a little easier for buyers to find the right home. I just wanted you to have the right information. Click send it to everybody. Send it out as an email to 38,000 people in your thing. Because all it is you just saying, this is what's going on with the market. There's nothing pushy or salesy about it, but it's coming from contribution. Style, great job. I'm glad you put that to use right away. Super awesome.
Thank you.
And Karen, thank you. I love you, Karen, wherever you are. I can't see you anymore. She may have split, but God bless you, because that was the most invaluable thing shared today. All right. Anybody else have anything for the greater good? Tiff, I watched 8 Mile. Spin that bitch. I think we're good.